Okay, there we go. Now we're recording. So you guys are responsible for getting your own slip. It's like that liquidy stuff, and you are responsible for cleaning it out. And then the people who are in charge of cleaning up the slip, you have to make sure that slip table is cleaned up nicely. What you'll do is you'll dump this back into the ice cream tub that we have. It's not ice cream, you can't eat it. And you are going to dump this out into there and then scrape it all out with your hands, and then you have to rinse it off in the sink, okay? So that's all this one is. You have to use the slip to do scoring and slipping. I'll answer questions later because I am recording stuff. Again, we have a variety of tools. This molding tool here, it's wooden and it is for smoothing out edges. This loop tool is for scooping out the inside. You guys should use this bigger one starting out because this clay is 5 pounds. A feckling knife, so this is for actually slicing it in half. The scoring tool, a lot of times you guys are forgetting to score. I've gone back and forth and washed your tables, like forget to do this. This is before you attach anything. You have to rough up both sides of the clay that you're using on this, okay, like where it's attaching to and what you're attaching. And then we have this ribbon tool. It's a lot thinner. This is for making sure that the edges are really nice on the inside of your project. This little ribbon tool here, you can see how small the loop is on this. This is for making really nice areas of carved textures. And don't forget the pin tool. I want to keep these up at my desk. These are very sharp and they are kind of dangerous, and I don't want these floating around or leaving, so we're counting them at the beginning of every class and making sure we have them, otherwise we'll shake you down. This is for stabbing a hole in your project to release air. So what I did on this project is I cut out a hole to have a space for a tea light. And I should actually, before I fire this, go get a tea light and make sure that this fits in there, okay? So basically I'd have a little candle and then I would be able to place my sphere over that candle. Obviously if I did that right now, the candle would be poof, extinguished because it needs air to survive, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out negative spaces on this because this is going to be a globe. I'm giving you guys like 3 or 4, or who cares to count, different options for this project. You can make a globe. You could make a shaker ball. That's where we leave it. Before we seal everything together, we put little tiny beads of clay inside of this, and then you're able to shake it, and it's kind of cool. However, I made a shaker ball when I went here however many years ago, and I don't shake it ever, and it just sits there. So I figured, why not make something pretty that you can use? Because ceramics is functional art, okay? And it'll be nice. You can leave it hollow like this and turn it into an animal. Like I had several people using this spherical base as a base for like a Pokemon. I don't want any Pokemon balls with this because you've already made some small ones, a couple of you. So I would actually have you turn this into a creature. Before you guys do that stuff though, I wanted to show you one of my examples for texture. So you can see like the scales on this. It's pretty awesome. I'm kind of proud of myself. I have like a fin at the top of this. It's going to be a lizard, even though I'm not okay with lizard creatures from the prehistoric era. I just saw that they found a new dinosaur. Moving on. Okay. So I had a little hole in there, bubble, because I carved far through this. So my creative solution was I'm going to turn it into an eye. All right. A what?
So creative.
I'm turning it into an eyeball, so it has like the hollowness of it, and I'm not going to be able to fit a light in here really because it's too small. So if you guys still are on your little sphere because you're making it like wicked awesome, you can continue to work on that, because a lot of people, it's going to take us some time for everybody to get their big chunks of clay while they're working. One reminder, you have to keep your clay bag as you are working and hollowing out your stuff. At the end of class, you guys will be making sure that your extra clay is wedged into a cube, so or a sphere. And either way, I just want all the clay put together because then it will stay nice and moisturized. Okay. I wanted to show you guys some texture techniques really quick with just some carving. Okay. Texturing. I am going to make a slab, basically. So I'm using the knife, and I cut a nice area, like cheese. Gosh, I wish I could eat cheese. And then I'm going to work on flattening this out, making sure there's no air bubbles. If I had something really nice, oh, I do. I could roll it just a little bit, to make it thin, because if you add really thick stuff on here, it's going to break, it's going to explode, and then you get an F, and ta-da. How did you fail art class? I didn't listen. Okay, sorry. So you could also use the pin tool, which I have put back in here because it's safe now. You can use this to draw. What was I going to draw? I don't know. Another fin to go on this. So I am drawing straight up and down like I don't know, something like a triangle. Then I can cut it out. And I can attach it this way, so that's one of your ways to get a shape. You could also, like that first example I showed you where it had swirls, you could cut things that are rounded and then place them on. So in a way this would be like paisley design, and then I would score and slip it onto here so it would already be raised. So I'm going to show you guys scoring and slipping on this. Because the clay is still wet, I can still curve this so it looks kind of cool. I feel like we have to review this because a lot of people are not completing this step, and that is a big no-no. Okay, scoring and slipping. You could just use a knife, your fingernail, as long as you make this side rough. What I like to do is, I like to, after I score this, dip it in the slip, and then place it. And then I pick it up and I can see where it's left like a wet mark. That way I'm not roughing up edges that will be harder to smooth out later. Smart one, huh? I thought so. So it's not a very deep score and slipping. I'm going to see how much more I can zoom in with it being focused. Focus. There we go. Not this worse. Okay. Now I'm going to place it on here. And I just press a little bit of pressure on here. What that does is it pushes all that slip into those roughed up spaces on the surface of the clay, and it creates like a locking mechanism. So they are all now doing that on the inside, unable to pull off. A lot of people are missing the smoothing step, and that's where you take something like this carving tool or the molding tool, or you could even use the side of a knife, and you are going to seal your edges. And I'm just pushing down the sides of this. So I'm showing you how easy it is to do with a knife, and how easy it also is to do with a wooden molding tool. And of course I would then want to go back, probably with a sponge, to smooth out all these extra rough edges that I did to my clay here. So I can also press down with this and make it look like it's deeper in some areas, and I scoop off some of the clay. I'm just trying to make this part look relieved, like it's popping up or sinking in either way to this piece of clay. It's like a weird kind of looking like an ear. And then if you also want to do some more scooping, you can use the ribbon tools. And press it down. So right now I can see no seams, it's all sealed. It looks like one conformed piece of clay. It's not a fancy design, but this is just an example to show you how to attach something, okay? Yeah, that's pretty basic, right? That's it. I made this texture here by pressing down with either this pointy part of the molding tool, or I use the fetting knife. And I just pressed down like little patterns. I made it pyramid style, like cheerleaders, you have to go every other one. So wherever there's a high point in between is where I make my next high point. And so this will make it look like scales. And it makes it really nice and deep. So it looks like they're pointing off. And I didn't have to add anything. Think how long it would take to cut out like scales and then attach them. This would make a smoother shape. I'm not pressing down very hard. You could also use the knife to make skinnier ones. So it's a really nice way to get some texture without having to add clay or anything like that. Again, you can use this ribbon tool to make your lines deeper, because this is not allowed, okay? Just like drawing with a little line on here, this will get you nowhere in the project. However, you could draw with it, and then say I wanted to make like a checkerboard pattern, I would use this tool, the loop tool, to carve out a deeper area of that space. So if you have no creative bone in your body, you can't even think about what to do, you can do a simple geometric design. That means like using basic shapes. You can kind of see how that one's deeper now. And then I'm going to smooth it out. And then you can have fun pushing and pulling where your negative spaces are and where your positive spaces are, where you add and subtract and carve. That's what I went to see for this sphere project. So the inside should be, it doesn't have to be completely smooth, but it should be hollowed. It's not that thick. I can see how thick it is by pressing my fingers along the inside. I smoothed out that butt crack that you get when you attach your two spheres together. One way that I do that, and I showed some of you guys, I can still see a little bit of my seam. I pull the clay from the bottom and I take it really close to that seam, and then whatever clay is left on my tool, I place it around that area that has a gap, and I smooth it on there. Easy, like that. For this project, at the end of the day, some of you might not even get to hollow out your sphere. So I do want you to put your name on this, and for your name, you should be able to just use the pin tool. I don't want to just see your initials because that's really hard to find, and a lot of people have the same initials. So you can do like your nickname or something, or in a way that we can see it. And I want you to put down what period you're in, because these can easily get lost once they're all in the kiln. Okay? Does that make sense? I'm not going to be able to find your projects if you lose them. I'm just not. I'm not a wizard. I wish, but I didn't get accepted to Harvard. And that is the end of my video, and I don't know if it recorded sound, but we'll see.